Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blitz Sports Media. I'm Ryan Linkletter, and I am back with my co-host Brady Penn. We had an electric Week 12. Shout out to all you early birds in the chat. We got a good stream for you guys tonight after a crazy Week 12. Obviously, started off the day great with some wild early slate games, and then the 325 games put us all to sleep. And then tonight was an interesting showcase of Saquon Barkley absolutely shredding the Los Angeles Rams. Brady, what are your initial takeaways from this weekend?
Let's start with the Eagles with Saquon Barkley. My thought from this game is that I think Saquon has officially jumped Derrick Henry as the clubhouse leader for the Offensive Player of the Year award right now. I think tonight's performance was phenomenal. This is back-to-back primetime national TV performances where Saquon just had an absolute amazing game, and I think that has propelled him forward, especially if the Ravens do drop this game to the Chargers tomorrow night and Henry doesn't make a lot of noise. That is obviously yet to be seen, but Saquon has been absolutely huge. And while I still don't believe in the Eagles long term to be a Super Bowl type team, I do think they've gotten a lot stronger ever since the bye week. I mean, they're unbeaten since the bye week, and I think that Saquon is a huge part of it. And if they don't get it done, it won't be because of lack of production from that running back spot.
Yeah, 100%. We'll shout out to some of these guys that are early birds in the chat. Che Toussaint, welcome, buddy. We got Braden right here. What's up, dude? Brady Penn. We already know Brady Penn's in the chat. Jacob, one of the goats of the stream. Welcome, Jacob. Lovey Smith, welcome back. We got Prime Video isn't Primetime TV. Trey, Seahawks are a top 10 team in the NFL. We'll talk about them in a little bit. Riley Johnson popping in, saying he wasn't at baseball. Probably should start showing up to baseball. That'd be a good thing.
Dang it, Riley.
Dang it, Riley. Come on, man. But hey, let's talk about Saquon. Obviously, right off this game, somebody dropped a comment before the stream started asking, are the Giants regretting letting Saquon walk? And to be honest, I don't think they're regretting it as much as a lot of people think they are. Like Tyrone Tracy's been a great find for them, an absolute gem for them this offseason. Saquon obviously has been a great addition to the Eagles, and I think it goes to show you that sometimes really talented running backs filling in on like a very talented offense behind a really good offensive line, like it's going to work out really well. We've seen it with Derrick Henry despite the age. Like these guys come in and do really well, and obviously Saquon has been awesome in that Eagles offense and has worked his way truly into that MVP conversation after his last two games. And the Eagles are forcing themselves into that conversation for that one seed. I know the Lions have been really dominant this season, but the Eagles are only one game back. And, we'll see how things go. The Lions have a lot of division games on their schedule ahead. Who knows? They drop one or two of those. I think the Eagles potentially could steal that one seed for them. What is your takeaways kind of from Saquon's massive performance if the Giants are regretting letting him walk, and then, where they kind of sit in the NFC right now?
Let's keep it simple. I mean, I'm just going to put it this way. Are the Giants a playoff team if you take them exactly the way that they're constructed and add Saquon Barkley? I don't think so. I think they need a lot more than more production at running back. I think that they just need a complete overhaul. And unfortunately, I think that is going to include Brian Daboll. I think that Brian Daboll is going to get fired. I think that is pretty much sealed, unfortunately, even though we think he's a good coach. And I do think he'll get picked up in the cycle this offseason if he does get released from New York. But I think that he's gone. I think that Joe Schoen is gone, the GM. I think that they're just going to clean house. And the only guys they're really going to hold on to are a Tracy, a Malik Neighbors. I think they're going to look to make a big change, and I think we could end up seeing Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward be the quarterback.
One of the things that I just had to make sure that I just looked up, there was a Giants beat reporter that mentioned today that Brian Daboll and their general manager, I don't know what his name is, I just forgot off the top of my head, are gone. Like officially gone, right? It hasn't been publicly tweeted by like Rap Sheet or Shefty, but it's a Giants beat reporter saying they're gone. So I would be surprised, to be honest, if they still have jobs for this week. This was a miserable performance against the Bucs.
Absolutely was. And I mean, for the Giants, there's nowhere to really go but up. And it's crazy. The playoff appearance and the playoff win in 2022 honestly seems to have done more bad for the Giants than good, because it led them to buy into Daniel Jones. It led to them giving him that massive contract. It led to them being a little bit complacent with their roster and feeling that they were already in a place of competition. I know they went out and got Brian Burns, but that was not enough. And I just think that they needed to do more, and they got a little bit complacent after that 2022 run. So we'll see where they go from here. But as for the Eagles, I don't see them getting that 1 seed. Um, I know the Lions do have the Bills here in a couple weeks, but I trust the Lions to lose no more than 1 game the rest of the way, to be completely honest. And I think that they're going
They
to
have
finish.
that tough matchup against the Bills too, on top of those divisional matchups, which will be interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's going to be the game to watch out for. But I still like them over Green Bay. Like them over Chicago this week, even on a short week. And I like them over Minnesota when they face them in Detroit. So I'm going with the Lions to 1 seed, but I think that the Eagles are probably going to get that 2nd spot.
Yeah, hey, remember, drop all your hot takes from this week, guys. We're going to try to run through every single game tonight, but if you guys have any hot takes in the chat, we'll give you a shout out. Put your comment up on the screen. We'll answer it for you guys. We got some guys popping in the chat. Lovey Smith. I think I'm taking Bucky Irving or Rachaad White rest of the season now. I don't know what that necessarily means, but Bucky Irving was dominant in that game. Since we're talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, he was really good, and, Rachaad White wasn't too good. And, they even mixed in Sean Tucker on the goal line, which was interesting for me in that situation. Jacob's talking about the fumble, man. That one hurt. That one hurt some people's fantasy lines this week. Just mentioning that one. Mr. Tweeter popping in here. What's up, dude? How we doing today? Can we hear how you did in your 2 main leagues? Not that good. It was a rough week for me.
I got the dub in my main league. My number 2 league, was not as fortunate, but had a pretty good week. 138 points in my main league. Had Caleb give me a good performance. My starter is always Josh Allen, but I had to throw in Caleb. He did well for me today. AJ Brown had a good game. Achane had a good game, and the Seahawks defense had a really, really good day for me. Got me 20 points.
Let's talk about Caleb and the Bears offense in that game this week. It was nice to see. Like, this Bears offense continues to be better without Shane Waldron. We've been on the Shane Waldron fire train since week 2. We wanted him gone early. And, we're starting to see this Bears offense be a lot better. Obviously, they didn't get the job done, but it just feels like the Bears are so close right now and just can't get over the hump because they haven't won games in a long time. And, they're facing teams that just have won games recently and know how to win these close games and pull it out. And we saw this week against Minnesota, like the onside kick, obviously, like, not expected, but they did it. Caleb makes a big throw. They get into field goal range, and what do you know? They get the ball first. I'm like, all right, Bears are going to go down and score right here and end this ball game. They're not there yet. They weren't able to do that. Caleb, kind of reverted back to looking down to pressure and wasn't able to get it done. Brady, what are your takeaways right now from the Chicago Bears, and should Bears fans be optimistic about the future of this team, potentially without Matt Eberflus?
Hey, first off, let's tell Mr. Tweeter here, it's Movember, buddy. We're hopping on the wave. But no, with Caleb, I mean, we didn't expect the offense to necessarily have a great turnaround this year with Thomas Brown, considering how he did in Carolina last year. But they have been a lot better these last 2 weeks, and Caleb has looked more confident. And it almost makes me wonder if Shane Waldron was putting like certain like handicaps on Caleb Williams, or like making him think too much, telling him, like, almost wanting Caleb to be robotic, because Caleb, the way I would describe it the last 2 weeks, he's played a lot more free. And I've said it all season long when it comes to Caleb Williams. Each week he's discovering a bit more what he can do still in the NFL that he was able to get away with in college, and what he needs to scrap from his college bag. Like, you see him still trying to extend the play, still throwing on the run. We saw that incredible throw rolling to his right on a dead sprint today down the sideline, fitting it in the hole between.
Dude, that ball at Keenan Allen that didn't count, that was disgusting. That was a crazy throw.
We're seeing a lot of great plays, and I truly believe the future is still bright for him, and the future is bright for the Bears in general over these next 4 to 5 years. And all that I want to say is to everybody that was already writing him off and everything after that Patriots game, or even earlier than that, anybody that was hopping off the Caleb Williams train, just don't hop back on next year or whenever it is that we see Caleb really start to take off, because I do still believe that that's coming. And I'm going to proclaim something here. I know we've had a lot of discussion, a lot of dialogue about all 4 of these rookie quarterbacks, May, Williams, Daniels, Nix. We don't know about J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix yet, but from the 4 that we have seen, I'm going to continue to say that I know you see the hoodie. It might sound biased. I think Drake May will end up having the best career, but I think Caleb will be right behind him. I think Caleb's going to have a great career, and I'm just taking both of their ceilings over Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, even if they're having the 2 best rookie seasons so far this year. That's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting to see. And we saw Jaden Daniels actually, not look great, and the Commanders are on a little losing streak right now. I don't think anybody expected them to drop this game against the Cowboys this week. The Cowboys looked miserable. They were on a 5-game losing streak. Basically, just rolling out Cooper Rush to potentially, get a better draft pick. And here we go. They play really good football today. And Jaden Daniels is basically does nothing until the fourth quarter when they are down 2 scores. They move the ball down quickly. He gets some more points. And then at the end of the day, his line looks better than he actually played. Like, he was miserable.
Yeah, I mean, it was the Terry McLaurin play where Dallas just forgot how to tackle.
That, and then the rushing touchdown. He had like 60 rushing yards, I think, down 2 scores in this game. And what's interesting to say is that, people anointed Jaden Daniels the best quarterback in this class. Like, he was going to be a future Hall of Famer. All this type of stuff about Jaden Daniels. Guys, it was 8 weeks of the season. These are rookie quarterbacks we're talking about. Like, these are young
two premature takes. Takes have been too premature over pretty much every rookie quarterback we've seen this year. We know NFL fans, the NFL is a hot take business. It's a lot of reactionary fans out here. We've seen it for everybody. And Jaden Daniels, whether it be from the rib injury, whether it be from the typical Cliff Kingsbury offensive philosophy fall off in the second half, he has just looked a lot worse these last 3 weeks. And that's been a big part of this 3-game losing streak for Washington. And at this point, we had Washington pretty much as a playoff lock, and I still feel like they should get it done and get in, but it's becoming more and more questionable by the week when it comes to this Commanders team. And also,
a lot of these NFC West teams, I'd take over them right now.
Yeah, 100%. But I do also want to say, anybody that checked out our emergency streamer article this morning, shout out Cavante Turpin for giving me some credibility.
Mirabula and Roshan Johnson, all 3 hit, dude.
All 3 of them got in the end today, these streamers that we had. So if you need an emergency pickup next week before the games start, just check out Blitz Sports Media's website, and you'll find, dude, we're getting some good numbers.
We just hit 1K, baby. We just hit 1K.
We're over 1K.
Hey, keep spreading the word, folks. Let's hit 1.5 now. Now that we reached that 1K mark, appreciate you guys in the chat that have been loyal here since day one. We got Alfonso Taylor asking, is Cooper Rush better than Dak Prescott? Pipe the brakes just a little bit. Pipe the brakes just a little bit.
Dak Prescott's an MVP runner-up. He's an all-pro quarterback. Let's not do that.
Yeah, no, let's just relax.
14 of the Cowboys' points today came off returned kicks.
Dude, that spin move Turpin had was gross. That was unreal.
Hey, no, it was. And then shout out Georgia Tech legend. Shout out GT, my boy Wanye Thomas, cribbing the onside kick at the end.
Yeah, it was crazy. Lovey Smith in the chat. Are the 49ers cooked? Obviously, heading into this game, their roster has fallen apart with injuries. Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, Brock Purdy, all out this week.
Brandon Allen at quarterback, man.
Dude, I mean, it's crazy. We were both saying, don't panic, don't panic, don't panic. Here we are, 5-6.
Panic.
Now it's time to panic, bro. Purdy might not play next week. Things are not looking good for this. And they have Buffalo. My personal take on the 49ers right now is this the worst thing in the world? Because look at this. You're going to probably get top 14 to 20 draft pick next year. They can address the issues on the offensive line. They have a lot of guys that are tied to big contracts right now. It was a rocky season to start. A lot of these guys are hurt. If they drop this game to Buffalo, why rush them back? I don't think they're making any noise this season the way they've been unhealthy this year. And, we continue to just believe that, they're the 49ers of the old. They'll figure it out. They're not going to figure it out this year. They're not healthy. Their offensive line has regressed this season. They can't get a running game going to save their lives, even with the return of Christian McCaffrey. So I think the 49ers are cooked in that NFC West race. And to be honest, I think the Rams are just not completely out of it. I am a Rams stan. If you guys have been watching the show, I am a Rams stan. I just think the mix
of love the Rams,
Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Kyron Williams, and Matthew Stafford's tough to beat.
This O-line is just so bad.
It's so bad. It's a horrible offensive line, but you're not playing the Eagles.
And they still got to face
5 teams in football.
They still got to face Buffalo too.
Yeah. I don't know if the Rams get in, but I truly think they're the scariest team right now in that division. We don't know how to read the Seahawks and the Cardinals. That's a whole nother thing.
At all. I don't, man.
The Seahawks going into this were 1-5 in that last stretch or some stuff like that. Obviously had that big win against the Falcons. We're like, okay, the Seahawks are kind of nice with it. And then they drop games that we're like, what are they dropping now? And then all of a sudden, right, we get the Cardinals who are super hot. They're going to this game. They're like, okay, they're going to get it done. Offensively, they just disappeared.
I was really disappointed in Drew Petzing today. I thought he had a really good stretch over the last month or so, especially when it comes to involving Marvin Harrison Jr. And they just did not do anything well today. They didn't run the ball well. They didn't find Marvin. The only guy that had a good game was Trey McBride. Honestly, I don't think
he was a dog today. He beat me up in fantasy.
I don't think Kyler played terrible, but that pick six was really what ended up deciding the game to Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
So NFC West is completely wide open, and I know our boy in the chat here, our boy Trey, he's big Seahawks guy.
Hey, here we go, Trey. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong one because they played the Seahawks. Trey, I'm sorry, dude. The Seahawks are not like that. They're not like that. You know what makes me most frustrated about the Seahawks? Kenneth Walker is so underrated, and they underutilize him so much. And it sucks because he has a bad offensive line.
Right.
He's a Saquon level talent on a bad offensive line. Like, think about it. He could be a guy that goes behind another offensive line and just explodes because he has actual running lanes. He has no running lanes in Seattle.
Yeah, the NFC West as a whole is just perfected mid. Like, all of that.
If you said that, like Jacob said, it's not 2019, little bro. If you said that in 2019, people would look at you like you're nuts. The NFC West has regressed crazy. And,
right now,
the NFC North that holds it.
I was about to say it's the NFC North and then everybody else when it comes to the conference right now.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how it's going. If you had to pick one team to win that division right now, who are you picking?
I'm still going Detroit. I know my preseason.
No, not that one. Not that one. I'm talking about West.
Oh, I was about to say, okay. The West, man, I really want to still ride with the Cardinals. Those have been my guys. And I do still feel like when healthy, the Niners are the best team. But right now, the Seahawks have the inside track. I mean, they split the season series with San Fran. They just took this one against Arizona. I don't remember. Did they lose to LA? Did they play them yet?
Who?
Seattle? Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, yeah. So right now, I think Seattle has probably got to be in the driver's seat, and I don't like to admit that because I, like you, don't think Seattle's that great. But I do think long term they will be pretty good. I think Geno is a solid quarterback.
They did. They did play. They lost in overtime to the Rams.
Yes, I remember. That was in Seattle. So
that was before their bye week. They have Jets, Cardinals, Packers, Vikings, Bears.
Honestly, it's going to come down to who has the easiest schedule the rest of the way. I don't know who that is off the top of my head. The Cardinals coming up, they have the Vikings next, which is a tough one. They get another crack at the Seahawks at home after that. Then they have the Patriots and Panthers back-to-back, and they finish it off with the Rams and 49ers. So not a great schedule, but not necessarily a hard one either. I'd have to look across the board at everybody else. I know that LA and San Fran both still have to play the Bills. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I guess right now, by default, I have to say the Seahawks are probably the leading team, but we'll see how it shakes out. I want it to be the Cardinals.
I think a 10-7, 9-8 record gets you in that division. Which is kind of crazy to think about. Cowboy Rag popping in here. Road teams win today. Wild. I mean, we'll talk about, the Tennessee Titans today. What is going on? Here we go. Stroud regression, Bryce Young progression. Literally perfect timing.
Hey, there's more
going on in Houston, dude. Is it the offensive line? Is it CJ Stroud? What is it?
Well, that's one thing I want to say. We talked about this a few minutes ago with the reactionary hot take business in the NFL. We saw all the – and by the way, I do still think that CJ Stroud probably should have been the first pick. Although, again, I've said this before. At the time, there was no one hating on the Bryce Young pick. No one was questioning that. But everybody's saying, oh, it's ridiculous Carolina didn't pick CJ. Now, all of a sudden, you're seeing CJ have some of the struggles you saw Bryce have last year. And you're seeing Bryce, ever since the benching, has been really good. I mean, Bryce Young had his best game as a pro today. He was great against the blitz, which, as they said on the broadcast, has been his biggest issue. When the Chiefs brought heat, he was getting to his reads quick. He was extending plays. He was finding guys accurately down the field. And when he was missing in the right spot, like Charles Davis said on the broadcast. But in Houston, I'm really not 100% sure. The defense has still been playing well. I mean, the offense did not help them out today. I know they got put in some bad spots, and they were a little bit sketchy in the pass game, but at the same time, the defense got a pick six. The defense created pressure. They sacked Will Levis, I think, like 5 times today. The offense just is not clicking, and I thought they would get into a more cohesive rhythm with Nico Collins back. And at points in the game, they did, but they just don't really have an identity right now outside of Joe Mixon, who didn't even have a great game today. I don't know what it is. I think part of it's a CJ Stroud sophomore slump. I think part of it is that they have a horrendous offensive line, but I don't see this team making it to divisional weekend right now. And on the flip side of that with the Titans, I want to say he was catching a lot of heat earlier in the year. He did have a pick six today. I'm still a Will Levis believer down the line, man. I still like Will Levis's talent. I mean, for every terrible decision we get from Will Levis, I feel like we also get a highlight deep ball from him. He's athletic. I think if they shore up the O-line and get a little bit better pass catchers, which, by the way, Noah Westbrook-Akine has been really good this year. I think that Will Levis, don't know if it'll be in Tennessee, but I think he can be a guy somewhere, and I think he's just got too much talent for me to give up on.
Yeah, and, I'll start on that Tennessee game, kind of talk about that one. I don't think Will Levis is the quarterback for the Titans next year. Brian Callahan has been impressive for me. Like, he has showed some really impressive stuff in that offense. And, he can't control the offensive line blocking. That doesn't help him. Will Levis, I think his biggest fault as a quarterback is his decision making. And, what doesn't show up in the box score is him taking sacks after missing 3 reads and holding on to the football. He does that way too often. And today, he gave CJ Stroud ample opportunities to come back and win that game, and he wasn't able to do it. The pressure has been too much for him this season. He hasn't been able to consistently produce drives for the Texans this year. And it just seems like he's rattled by it. Like, he looks like a different quarterback. And even Patrick Mahomes is rattled by a bad offensive line at times. Like, it happens to even the best quarterbacks. So to go ahead and say CJ Stroud is just worse than Bryce Young after Bryce Young playing 3 of the best games of his career and Stroud just playing the worst football of his career, it's a little reactionary of a take. I'm not going to buy into it, but I think we do need to give Bryce Young his flowers. The dude was unbelievable today. There was multiple times where he was falling on his back and throwing across the field and perfectly hitting wide receiver in stride on 3rd down. It was nuts.
And let's not forget the weapons aren't great there in Carolina.
No, not great either. Not great either. And he's fitting balls in perfect spots. He goes toe-to-toe with Mahomes, ties the game up in the 4th quarter. Dude balled out today. And, he's just a guy you have to root for. He's been through it in the league, obviously benched this year, and he just seems like a genuine dude that just likes football and he's a football guy.
I'm rooting for him, man. I want to see a Bryce Young become the guy in Carolina. I hope, and I do think that he's going to get another year at least to prove it.
Yeah, I think he definitely has earned himself another year, and I'm interested to see what weapons they build around that Carolina group.
I was going to ask you, what do you think the Panthers need to draft? Because to me, it's tough. I think there are multiple holes on this roster. Obviously, you're not 3-8, 3-9 without having holes on the roster. But at the same time, there's not one that I can just point to as absolutely glaring. Do you trade down and pick an offensive lineman? Do you try and find a way to get Travis Hunter to where you have an asset on both sides of the football? What do you do?
I think because you want to develop Bryce Young. Time's running out for him. I think they wind up going offensive line a majority in this draft, and they try to get another receiver, whether that's through free agency, trade, or the draft. And T. Higgins is a name that could be interesting going there.
I could see them picking Ted McMillan, but I want to hear the rest of what you have to say.
Good. I really do think I think they just lean more offense because they know the clock's ticking with Bryce. The defense has so many holes. We saw that today. The Chiefs offense picked them apart for a majority of the day, but I think they just address the offense.
J.C. Horn was getting absolutely cooked by D-Hop all day. He could do nothing but hold him.
Yeah, they just have a lot of problems on that roster. So I think going forward, you just have to build around Bryce a little better.
Right. Let's talk about the Chiefs a little bit, man. I mean, we were talking a little bit throughout the game earlier. I'll let you start since you are a Chiefs fan. What is your prognosis on this team right now, where they stand, and what the outlook is for them as we get closer to January?
This was, Patrick. I'll just say this: Patrick Mahomes is playing really good right now. This has been a upward trajectory for him over the last few weeks. I think he's got 3 touchdowns now in 3 of his last 4 games. And he was on fire today. Like, dude didn't make one bad play the whole day. And when they needed him most, he came through. Like, I tweeted this out. Mahomes and Brady are the only guys that you could trust with your life on the line under 2 minutes. Those guys are unreal.
Maybe Joe Montana. He might be the only other guy I'd add in.
He's nuts. It's crazy. But what I'll say about the Chiefs is they have 2 glaring weaknesses that seem to continue to hold this team back from, just blowing teams out and keeping other teams in the game. We'll start on the offensive side. It's the tackles. When the Chiefs have time and can pass the ball, they look like the 2022 Chiefs. It is crossing routes for 15 to 20 yards, and they get people open pretty easily. When the tackles kind of break things down and just kind of, like, you see at times their edge rushers just run right around Wanya Morris or Jawan Taylor, and it ruins everything for the Chiefs. Like, that happened in the second half, and they had to stall out 2 drives. And on the defensive side of things, they can't get home. You mentioned it earlier, 27th in sacks this season, despite having a similar, pressure rate. You know what that tells me? They're not finishing plays. That unit is tired over there from carrying the offense to start the season and, having to play great football now for 2 straight seasons. That unit's tired. They had an early bye week this year. They're getting Charles Omenihu back. I'm sure that'll bring a little bit of fresh life, but they're tired right now. They're reeling and definitely trending in the wrong direction. I think they will be better come postseason time, but I think we honestly might see a average to below average pass defense for the Chiefs for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I do think they traded for Josh Uche. He hasn't done much. And one thing that I've noticed, I saw this tweeted about, Chiefs have been putting Chris Jones more on the edge, and we know how dominant Chris Jones is. Chris Jones needs to stay in that 3-tech because as good as he is as a pass rusher, he still gets penetration off the edge, but these quarterbacks are just more athletic than Chris Jones, and when he is on the edge, they're able to get around him and extend the play. When he's on the interior, it's harder to escape that when you've got Karlaftis bearing down on the edge, or you've got Justin Reed coming in on a safety blitz as you're trying to escape from Jones. But the flaws that I think, I agree with you, the tackle play is not there. I think the interior is still great with Tooney Smith and Creed Humphrey, but the tackle play is really concerning.
You know what's an interesting stat?
What?
Trey Smith has been one of the worst guards this year in pass blocking grade.
Really? I honestly haven't even noticed that.
Yeah, I haven't noticed it that much either, but it's been interesting to I saw that going around today a little bit.
Yeah, the pass defense, as you mentioned, they have not been as good this year. Trent McDuffie has still been his normal self. I know he got a pass interference on that 2-point play, the first try for Carolina, but all in all, Trent McDuffie has still been Trent McDuffie. And I actually like Shamari Connor a pretty good bit, but it's what is it, Najee Johnson? That's his name, right?
Yep. Brian Cook had a bad day today.
Najee Johnson and Brian Cook have not played well in the back end for Kansas City, and it's really cost them. I mentioned when I was talking to you that their EPA per drop back last year was 4th on the year defensively. This year they're 17th. And then, yeah, like you said, we were talking about the pressure rate, the pass rush win rate. It's almost identical to where it was last year, but they're not finishing those plays. And we'll see if the Chiefs are able to take this identity offensively that they've had and have success with it in the playoffs and control the football and control the clock. But they're just much less explosive than they were last year. Last season, they were 14th in plays of 20-plus yards, about middle of the pack. This year, they're 24th. They're in the lower third of teams when it comes to explosives, and their MO on offense this year is grinding out drives, getting 5-6 yards at a time with the occasional 15-yard passing play, some yards after the catch. But there's really not a whole lot going on down the field for them. And maybe Isaiah Pacheco in the run game can help with the explosives, but I think that for them to have a chance to three-peat, like many people are expecting them to, they're going to have to play better on the defensive side. They're going to have to control the clock, and they're going to have to be better in the red zone. Those are my takeaways.
We'll end this talk with this about the Chiefs. 2 things. DeAndre Hopkins is still playing the 4th most snaps among Chiefs receivers. That is criminal. I don't know what they're doing right now with him. I don't know if it's load management or what, but DeAndre Hopkins need to play more snaps, and it's especially notable he's not often on their 3rd down group. And then Noah Gray is an underrated tight end, and they got him for a 3-year extension this offseason for $10 million. I think Noah Gray is a really good football player and might be one of the best backup tight ends in the league right now. So let's talk about a little bit. We mentioned the NFC North just a little bit. Lions took care of business today. Packers took care of business. Vikings got a win. All these teams continue. I think 6 losses combined between those 3 teams. Besides the Eagles, are those your 4 best teams in the NFC right now? And do you think anybody's dethroning the Lions in the NFC North? Lovey Smith saying, is Jared Goff a civilian?
Yeah, honestly, Jared Goff is a civilian, and I don't think anyone's going to dethrone the Lions. I think, as I mentioned, I think they're going to keep that 1 seed, and that means that they keep the NFC North title. And to be honest, maybe this will come back to bite me. Who knows? But this is part of the fun of being on the show and putting out our takes. I don't see anybody taking them out in the NFC. I think that we will see the Detroit Lions in New Orleans on February 9th. And I think it's just a question of who they'll be facing from the AFC. Will it be the Chiefs? Will it be the Ravens? Will it be the Bills? Will it be the Steelers? I think it'll be one of those 4 teams, probably just one of the 3 between the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs if I had to guess. But I just don't see anybody stopping this Lions offense, even on a day like today. This is twice in the last 3 weeks we've seen Jared Goff just have an average to bad game, and it doesn't matter because the defense balls out. The defense makes plays. Sonic and Knuckles make great plays. Amon-Ra extends drives. Like, this is just, there's too many things to account for when it comes to playing the Detroit Lions. You've got an elite running back duo. You've got an elite O-line anchored by Penei Sewell. You've got a pretty good receiving core. I still think Sam Laporta is a good tight end, even in a down year. And the defense, that's the surprise of the year to me, especially post-injury to Hutchinson. The defense has been really good. I think that they're like 2nd in EPA per play defensively, and Zadarius Smith had an impact today. He had some really good pass rush moves against the Colts. And, I mean, they're playing well in the back end. Kirby Joseph is tied for the NFL lead in interceptions. Carlton Davis has been a good addition. Terrion Arnold, even though he gets some holding penalties, he's been a really good DB. And
he's developing, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a credit to Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff. They are just firing on all cylinders, and they're going to be a really, really tough team to beat.
Yeah,
I don't know how I forgot Brian Branch. He literally should be in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation.
I couldn't speak this loud enough. These 2 have been awesome this year for the Lions this season. It's been a key cog in why their defense has been so dominant this year, despite not having like talented up front guys outside of Allen McNeil.
Why, right? It's because Brian Branch. It's because Brian Branch is a Georgia boy. He's a GA product. We all know how they get down. So
that's what you're saying. Lovey's got Lions 1, Eagles 2, Packers 3. I think what confuses me about the Packers is just Jordan Love's decision making. Great coach, talent all over on offense, but Jordan Love's decision making just continues to make me less and less confident about the Packers making a run this year. With how dominant the Lions and the Eagles have been this season, one little mistake, and we saw it earlier this season against the Lions, is going to cost you. And I think the Eagles and the Lions are teams you can't really make mistakes on this season. So if you're planning on making a mistake and playing football like you have Jordan Love, I don't see any shot that the Packers make it past the divisional round this year.
Right. And with Jordan Love, I saw a tweet saying this earlier today from, I don't exactly know how to pronounce the last name, but Pranav Srirarman. He's a big Chiefs count.
That's a name. Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, so he said pretty much Jordan Love might have 1 great playoff game. He might have 2. But how confident are you in Jordan Love playing smart, consistent football for 4 straight games? Because I'm with him. He said he's not confident at all in that, and neither am I. And, well, again, I don't think that Jared Goff is going to play 3 straight elite games. I think that the Lions as a whole are very capable of doing that. And same with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I mean, the Eagles, the story to me is the defense. We had a lot of questions about them coming into the season, especially that secondary. And these young guys have stepped up big time. And the defensive front has made it a lot easier for them. I mean, Brandon Graham's 36 years old. He's still getting down like that. Jalen Carter is going crazy. Josh Sweat's making plays. And this Eagles D-line is getting closer and closer. We talked about the Chiefs looking like 2022. This Eagles D-line is looking like 2022 right now. And they're causing a lot of havoc. We saw them get after Matthew Stafford tonight, and that's what makes them dangerous to me.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea, especially considering kind of what we have right now after 12 weeks. I think it is appropriate that we do that towards the end of the show for this one. We'll talk about some kind of smaller games that, we kind of expected. Broncos took care of business against the Raiders, 1 game closer to working in that playoff race. Now 2 wins above 500, which is huge, separating themselves from Cincinnati. Then you have Miami taking care of business, winning their 3rd straight game. They obviously have a tough game next Sunday on next Thursday on Thanksgiving. So Brady, Dolphins or Broncos, who would you take right now in a matchup with a healthy Tua?
I'm taking the Dolphins. I know we've given Tua a lot of criticism on this show. I still think that Tua is a middle of the pack quarterback in general, but Mike McDaniel, ever since he's got Tua back, he's got his sauce back. And we talked about you wanted to see a Jalen Waddle breakout. We saw more than
Dude,
a Jalen
it happened. Jalen Waddle did something. Come on now.
Tyreek starts looking like last year. This offense is really hard to stop. I mean, they've pretty much completely iced out Raheem Mostert, and it hasn't mattered because Devon Achane has been great. Jonnu Smith is having a career year in like year 8 in the NFL in this scheme. Jalen Waddle's played great today. Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. And Tua's not going to have to do that much. Where I have the concern, where I've always had the concern with Tua, is these cold weather games. And that's what he's going to have to do this week. The temperature, the weather looks terrible going into Green Bay on Thanksgiving. We'll see if he can get it done. I mean, we saw him play Green Bay 2 years ago, I think, in Miami and throw 3 interceptions on Christmas Day. So we'll see.
This is so true. Offense is so good they might lose in the wild card. I think that's so spot on, dude. The Dolphins aren't getting past the wild card, but I mean their offense is flashy. It's so good, and I think the implementation of Jonnu Smith has given them another element into this offense because teams try to take away Tyreek Hill. That's still every team's focus every week, and you see how they use him in motion, and other teams just get messed up, and you always see Devon Achane or Jonnu Smith basically naked down the field and always wide open. And I think you're right. I think I would take the Dolphins over the Broncos. But one of the things that's interesting about that is, the Dolphins had that beat down over the Broncos last season, which was one of the most embarrassing NFL games I've watched in my life. I think the Broncos would come with a little bit of fire under their asses after that one.
Definitely. No, definitely. And I think that this Broncos defense can't compete with anybody. And it's funny. I was in a little bit of a Twitter back and forth with somebody just debating Bo Nix because they came at me. They pulled up like a tweet of mine from a month ago saying Bo Nix had been one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the league, which, by the way, a month ago that was true. And I still don't think Bo Nix has been great. But, I mean, he's just average. Bo Nix throws a lot of underneath, a lot of safe throws. What the plus side of Bo Nix is he doesn't turn the ball over and he doesn't take sacks. He's mobile and he finds the guys that are open. He takes what the defense gives him, but more often than not, I mean, in 2 games against the Ravens and Chiefs, we saw him put up a combined 24 points. That's just not going to get it done. And I want to see Bo Nix do it against actual good competition because we've seen him beat the Panthers. We've seen him beat the Raiders a couple times. We've seen him just beat some garbage teams. Let's be honest about it. And their best win right now might be the Falcons, which right now is looking less and less impressive. But we've seen him lose to the Chargers. We've seen him lose to the Chiefs. We've seen him lose to the Ravens. So let's pump the brakes on Bo Nix. He might be the favorite right now with Jaden Daniels slipping the last few weeks. I want to throw a name out there. Probably won't happen because the team is so bad, but my offensive rookie of the year right now would be Brock Bowers. I think he's been the best offensive rookie. I think that if it wasn't just a quarterback,
tight end ever won it?
He's a tight end.
I will do that while you're talking.
I'm not sure. I know that Gronk didn't because Gronk was the second year when he had his breakout in 2011. I want to say there was one like really good rookie tight end a few years ago, but I don't think he won it, and I can't remember who it was. But my guess would be no, to be honest. I think
Mike
Bucky.
Ditka.
Oh, Ditka, the coach.
Yes,
okay,
the coach.
I do think that Bucky Irving should also get some votes. I don't think he'll win it or anything, but he should get some votes. Right now, those are my 3, though. Daniels, Nix, and Brock Bowers. Those are the contenders.
Yeah, definitely a good mix there. I think with Daniels continuing to lose, Nix is having a better and better case for himself, especially the fact that he's been playing really good football as of late here. Let's talk about Ravens and Chargers preview before we close out with our predictions for the playoffs. We got a great matchup. The Harbaugh brothers rivalry renewed in the NFL, and then we obviously have a good battle between 2 teams fighting for wild card position. Ravens trying to get back in that division race, and Chargers are trying to stay in the AFC West race. What are your overall opinions going into this one, and what do you think? Who's going to come out on top?
I like the Ravens to come out and play ball in this one. We talked about it the other night. Ravens really need this victory. I think the Chargers, win or lose, they're pretty locked into a wild card, especially with a loss. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs are leading the division. They only have 1 loss. Chargers already have 3, and the Chiefs at the moment have a head-to-head win over them. We'll see what happens in the next matchup in Arrowhead. But the Ravens need this. I mean, after losing to the Steelers last week, the Steelers immediately give them pretty much a mulligan, losing to the Browns on Thursday Night Football. I think that the Ravens are a bit more experienced in this type of big time games, prime time, national audience, and I think they're going to come out to play. I think it's a really good quarterback matchup. It's two of the 5 best quarterbacks in the league, and in my opinion, 2 of the 3 best just inside of this season. But I like Lamar to come out, have a good game, and I think this will be the most that this Charger defense has been tested. And on the Ravens defensive side of things, they played probably their best game of the season last week against Pittsburgh. I think they're building a little bit of momentum. They need to be a little bit better in the pass defense, but that run defense has been incredible. And we know the Chargers really like to use the run to complement the pass game. So give me the Ravens in a close game.
I'm interested to see if the Chargers' run defense holds up against these guys. Obviously the Ravens have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. That's a tough task for any team to stop. Obviously, there have been some teams to slow it down, and the Ravens get out of their game plan and head to a pass early attack. If the Chargers get out early, I'm interested to see if, the Ravens stick to the run game or just go away from it. And, every time they lose a game, it's because they go away from the run game. So that is a big thing for me. Lovie Smith, Justin Herbert masterclass. I 100% see that tomorrow night. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. I think the Ravens are going to inch closer to that AFC North lead and potentially, win it down the stretch here.
Hey, we might need to make Jacob the official chief of promotion for Blitz Sports Media, because I'm just looking at my timeline right now. Any NFL related posts, any teams post, Jacob's commenting, join or else on the NFL, sweet dreams, end it with this stream, Philly cheesing watching the stream. Join the stream for some breakdowns of today's game. Jacob, you're my guy. Hold on. There's another. He said they're discussing the Eagles here on Ryan Clark's tweet. Tap in now. Then there's another. Oh, the 3 emergency starts. He commented 3 for 3, and then somebody ML football. The NFL plans on randomly selecting Saquon Barkley for a drug test. Jacob says we should drug test these hosts for their performance tonight. Immaculate. So shout out Jacob.
Hey, shout out Jacob. He is the mod of our community Discord that if you guys are a part of, it's dropping Wednesday with some other content that we will be announcing. Got some big stuff planned for you guys on Wednesday, but let's get right into it. Playoff predictions, Brady. Let's give an AFC and NFC championship matchup. Who we got in the playoffs right now, heading into those matchups?
AFC championship. Trying to think of the seeding in my head right now. You know what? I'm going to go for the jugular here. We're going to get another Mahomes versus Josh Allen. That's going to be the AFC championship. It's going to be an Arrowhead, and the Bills are going to win it. That's my take right now. I think that Mahomes and the Chiefs are one of the hardest teams in history to take out in the postseason. I mean, the 3 times we've seen them lose in the Mahomes era in the playoffs. Overtime loss to the GOAT, Super Bowl loss to the GOAT with injuries along the offensive line, and just the Buccaneers were on a freaking roll in all facets of the game. And then a game that they really gave the Bengals, where Mahomes probably played the worst half of football he's played in his career. So they're going to be a really tough out. But eventually, the kid getting bullied has to bully back. And I mean, Josh Allen, if this isn't the year for the Bills against the Chiefs, all things considered, circumstances on both sides, especially considering the health of both teams, when will it be the time? I'm going with Josh Allen and the Bills going into Arrowhead, and it's not a disrespect. It's not a slight towards your Chiefs. It's incredibly difficult to make the Super Bowl every single year, and I think they've played 20 games each of the last 2 years. This would put them at 59 games over 3 seasons, and I think that the three-peat bid will fall just short against Buffalo at home.
That's exactly why I say this defense is reeling right now. They're tired. Like, the Chiefs are tired. Like, if you watch their post-game interviews in their locker room, like, these dudes are just not excited.
Did you see the way they looked walking off the field today, the video of them walking through the tunnel? They just looked, like you said, tired.
They're tired. I mean, that's what happens. Like, when you watch the Last Dance documentary, like the Bulls, Michael Jordan retired because he was tired. Like, dude, winning takes a toll, and not many people kind of realize that.
There's a reason we haven't seen a three-peat.
It's one of the hardest things to do.
It takes everything. It takes energy. It takes an incredible amount of concentration. It takes no slip ups over like 12 postseason games. It takes health. It's just, if they're able to do it, it's going to be an insane accomplishment. I at the risk of sounding like a hater, man, I think they're going to fall short, but it's going to be incredibly tough to knock them out. That's the one team I think can do it.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm going the other way. I got the same AFC Championship matchup. What I am interested to see though, Brady, the Bills match up horribly against Baltimore. They do. They match up horribly against Baltimore. If they get Baltimore, I would be worried about the Bills missing the AFC Championship. But if the Bills avoid Baltimore, I do like their chances to make it to the AFC Championship. I'm going to ride with the Chiefs.
Baltimore might get KC in the divisional.
What do you say?
So I think Baltimore might get KC in the divisional.
Well, it depends because Houston's 7-5 now, right? If Baltimore wins, they'll be 8-4, and I think they wind up winning that division and getting the 3rd seed. So this is funny. That Jared Goff is the Eli Manning to Patrick Mahomes, as you know what I'm trying to say here.
He might be. Honestly, I saw something about that the other day. He's 2-0 against him.
2-0. But on the NFC side of things, I think we are getting an Eagles and Lions. And I think I might go Eagles in this one. I think they are the best team to match up against the Lions. Dude, that front seven is elite. If you slow down that Lions run game and rely on Jared Goff's arm to go win you that game, I don't know, Brady. I think we could get a low-scoring game in that one, and I might have to lean Eagles.
So you're thinking Super Bowl 57 rematch is what you're going with here?
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to go – I think we're going to get a divisional matchup. I think that we're going to get Lions and Packers in the NFC Championship game. I know we talked about questioning Jordan Love's ability to put 4 consistent playoff games together in a row. I think he can put 2 together in a row. He almost did it last year, lost late in the game to San Francisco in Levi's Stadium on the road. But I think that they'll be able to do it this year. And right now, it looks like the Packers could end up – I am of the belief that the Packers will end up getting the 5 seed over Minnesota. I think Minnesota has started to slow down, even though the win-loss hasn't reflected it over these last 3 or 4 weeks. And I think the Packers still get the 5 seed. And in that case, they would draw either the Falcons, the Bucks, or the Seahawks. That's probably I think we're taking Green Bay there. But I think in the divisional, we could end up getting Philly versus Green Bay. And we saw it in week 1. We saw Jordan Love make some really bad mistakes. We saw a super high-scoring affair on both sides of the football. I would think that Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. And for that reason, I would take Green Bay in the rematch. They get Detroit in the NFC Championship, and I'm going with the Lions. I guess I'm putting it out there right now that I think that the matchup we're getting in 2 weeks is going to be a Super Bowl preview between the Bills and the Detroit Lions. And I know there's a ton of interest. There's a ton of appeal in seeing the Chiefs back in that game. If we got Chiefs-Eagles, it'd be a rematch, just like we saw a rematch of Chiefs-Niners last year. But I think that Bills-Lions –
People's Super Bowl.
I was going to say, it might be the People's Super Bowl. I know you wrote something about that. It was in one of our titles or headlines or something. But that Super Bowl.
Yeah. So before we close out our show, who is a dark horse team that you think in the postseason could make a run? I'll start with this because I was already thinking about it a little bit. And I'm going to stick on the NFC side of things. And you're going to call me a little bit crazy.
I think I know where Ooh.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm
not saying they can win it by any means. I'm not saying that. I think they could make a decent run in the playoffs, win a game or 2 at least.
They came a score away from one of the NFC Championship last year, so you never know.
Think of it, like they went toe-to-toe with San Francisco when they were relatively healthy the week before the bye week. They took the Chiefs down to the wire. Like they are right there in all these games this season with all these really good teams. And it seems like they're just deadly on offense, dude. Like this offense is, yes, Lovie Smith mentioned, only team to beat Detroit this year. They just are sneaky. And I wouldn't be surprised if they sneak in over the Falcons this year.
I just don't like their defense. They're pretty low.
I don't like their defense. No, I don't.
But, I mean, I could see it. It's not the craziest take in the world. For my dark horse team, I'm with you. I'm going to say the same thing, that it's not like I think they're going to win the Super Bowl or anything. But I'm going with the LA Chargers. I really like Justin Herbert, and I really like Jim Harbaugh. And we've seen Jim Harbaugh make an NFC Championship game with Alex Smith. We've seen him make a Super Bowl with Colin Kaepernick. I think Justin Herbert right now is better than both those guys were at their peaks. And if the defense keeps playing the way they are, who knows? Maybe we somehow see the Chargers in the AFC Championship. Maybe the Chargers get the Chiefs for the third time. We all know the mantra of it's hard to beat a team 3 times. If the Chiefs
And
sweep the
that's
season,
I don't think the Chiefs want to see an AFC West team in the playoffs.
yeah, I agree with that. And so for that reason, I'm going to go with the Chargers as my dark horse.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But hey, really appreciate you guys tuning in to our Week 12 overreactions video. Tomorrow we will go live once again after Monday Night Football. Hopefully we get a great game between the Ravens and the Chargers. We'll catch you guys next time. Hit that subscribe button for more Blitz Sports Media content.
Let's get 2K tomorrow. Everybody recruit people to join the Monday Night Football post Horrible live. Let's get 2,000 viewers. Let's do it.
All right. Yes, sir. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.